In this video, I'll be showing you how you can pull a dominant girl off of dating apps. You guys asked for this video, and it is finally here. I did not want to record this, but I'm here to deliver results, and that is my job. So I'm going to be saying some things in this video that are a bit immature, but if you're into obviously strange things and you like dominant women, then this video is going to be for you. Now, if you're not into dominant women, stick around because you're going to get a great laugh at this, and you may even learn a thing or two. So the girl I have for you today is called Jessie. I'll be showing you her profile pictures on screen. Now, you guys can rate her on the scale of 1 through 10 in the comments below. I would say she is around a 7. She's pretty attractive, and I would say that it's a pretty solid profile, and she's a good looking girl. Now, one of my clients got with this girl pretty easily, and I'll be showing you how we did it, okay? So let's get straight into it. We start the conversation with a classic opener, right? This is my trademark, this is what everyone knows. So we say to her, do you know what is missing in your pictures, Jessie? And like the girl she is, she says, pretty tall. It's that simple. Now, for me to break down this line, it's pretty straightforward. It's basically getting her interest by telling her something's missing in her pictures. Because girls chase validation and ego, they're thinking, is there something wrong with my pictures? Hence why they are prompted to reply. It's that simple, it's that straightforward. It's been a classic for years. It will never let you down. Then we move on to the next sequence of the texting. After you complete the line, she says, pray tell, you're going to say me with my arms around you. Now, that has been chopped off, unfortunately, but that is just how you close the line. You just say me with my arms around you. And then she'll typically say something along the lines of, wow, so smooth, aren't you? Or that's so original, whatever the time may be of what she's feeling to say. Now, in this scenario, obviously, she calls the guy smooth, so it works really well for him in his favor. And she says that can be arranged. So now what you did is you falsified creating a problem with the girl, but then in reality, you changed it into something romantic, which is why she thinks it's smooth. And then she changes it from her emotions being quite distraught, quite worried that she might have something wrong with the pictures, to quite happy and quite satisfied. She's like, oh, okay, it was just a romantic, quite a nice thing, and it's not an insult. A lot of girls typically will say, oh, I was expecting something pretty bad, but that's quite sweet. Now, in this scenario, as you can see, she said that can be arranged. That is a green light flag. That means you can progress on further with this conversation. It means that she is interested in you. To continue this conversation, we're just going to say to her, so would you prefer my arms around your waist or neck? Right? We're trying to create sexual vibes while at the same time keep it romantic. That is how you progress the conversation forward, because you're indicating intent. Without indicating intent, what's going to happen is you're going to go in a circle or a spiral on the apps. A lot of guys that I work with, one of the common problems they have is they can't even get the girl off the apps in the first place because they don't know how to indicate interest or indicate their intent. And that is why they never get the number, and then eventually the conversation ends up, unfortunately, fizzling and dying out. That is just the way things go. You need to indicate intent in order to get the girl. In this case, the girl was not too happy with the sexualization, so she said, a hug will just suffice for now. So essentially, she's trying to dial it back a bit, but that's not a problem. Sometimes you'll get a bit of resistance from girls. It's just only natural, right? Because if they're hearing, hundreds of guys saying things that are pretty bad, they're going to want you to dial it back. Now, obviously, what you're going to do is you're going to play around that. You're going to obviously just try and work your way to get what you want from her. So in this scenario, what we said here is hug works. We can leave the rest for when we get to know each other better. So now what you're doing is you're saying, oh, I get that you're not comfortable with that. What we'll do is we'll stick with the hug and we'll compromise and we'll revisit the rest later on. Because sometimes you just got to be patient with the game and you got to lower her guard. You got to make her feel more comfortable around you. Because you can't expect someone to, of course, just throw themselves into your arms and fall into your bed straight away. Sometimes girls are just more resistant. It's only natural. In this scenario, she says, this is true. Actually, you've got to make sure it's worth it first. So now she's giving ideas and she's giving into agreeing, and that is what we're looking for. We want the green light signal where she's agreeing, pretty much. It's that simple. We want to work our way in. We want to slowly get one step in the door so that she can give in her trust. It's that simple. We're basically overcoming objections as if it was sales. It's that simple. That's how girls work. It's the same as sales. Now, we progress the conversation by actually indicating a date, right? So that's why we say to her, have you been to The Alchemist? It's a nice cocktail bar. It's very simple, straightforward. Nothing too fancy. And we just indicate to her, have you been there? It's going to take her interest, and she says, I have not, no, but she has heard of it. Not only that, she said it also is a place she always wanted to go to, and it's very cute. So this is a huge positive sign. This is a place she wants to not only go to, but she's never been. Meaning the date is going to go even better, because when you go to a place like that with a girl that she's never been to, she's going to appreciate it even more. So that is the importance of choosing the right place to take a girl, because it can lead to your advantage and favor being there. Because if you know the environment she doesn't, she'll be relying on you, which leads to an increased level of attraction. Now, this is how we obviously progress and seed in the date, right? We tell her, well then, this is your perfect excuse to go. We'll go on our date. And then she says, tell me a time and I'll be there. Now, it's that simple. At this point forward, if you continue the conversation, all you're doing is you're just dragging out the inevitable, and she may even lose interest. So what you want to do is you just want to ask for a number and close the girl. It's that easy, okay? Once you're at this point of the stage of the game, you don't need to do anything else. Just get her a number, leave it at that, and boom, you're in, okay? And then what happens is you take it over to WhatsApp. We are now in part 2 of the video. We're looking at the WhatsApp messages. So starting off, what we have done here is we have told her, Jesse, I have a full-time job as you being my slave. Do you accept? So saying this to a girl is a very polarizing aspect. Basically what you're doing is you're framing the conversation to be sexual straight away. Now the positive of this is, now that Tinder and Hinge and Bumble have stricter rules where you can't sexualize girls on them anymore, unfortunately you're going to have to dial it back on the apps a bit. Now, as if you've noticed from my previous text messages in historical videos, I used to sexualize girls quite hard, right? The text messages were quite crazy. We had girls talking about their favorite positions, how they want to be, treated in the bedroom. It was quite crazy. Now, unfortunately, the dating apps no longer allow that because now you need consent beforehand. So what this means is you have to ask them, can I sexualize you? Now, no one actually wants to ask that because that's just going to kill the fun, unfortunately. Now, because of that, the solution is to sexualize on WhatsApp straight away. And as you can see here, that's what we did here. Now, this girl says, is this max? So she's not quite happy with what we've said here, but that's just because this girl's a dominant girl. She doesn't actually like being sexualized, okay? She wants to sexualize the guy, which I'll show you later on. So if you guys want a dominant girlfriend, this is how you do it. Anyways, moving on. We say, yeah, it is. The job also comes with some great benefits like cuddles, dates, and quality time. So obviously now we're bringing the frame down. That's how you bring it down. You want to sexualize it, but then you also want to turn it down very quickly. It's like you're throwing boiling hot water, but then you're also throwing cold water straight away. That's how it works. So you're lighting the fire, but then you're also cooling it down. That way, you allow the person to get used to it. But this girl in this scenario is obviously dominant, so she doesn't want the guy to be acting dominant. Now, I'm not one to kink shame my clients. They can be into whatever they like, but some of the things that is said in this chat is going to be pretty crazy. So if you guys want to see some crazy dominant girl stuff, then stick around. Anyway, she says, well, I don't particularly appreciate being spoken to like this, so rephrase and I'll get back to you. So my client, of course, we tell them to say, fine, only messing. And then we say, so what am I saving your contact as, your name or future wifey? So we just change it back to the original because this girl is obviously unique and different in that way. Now, she asks the client to say sorry. So as you can see, the dominant side of her is already coming out. And she says, you're bold, I like that, okay? So we say, damn, are you my mum? No point playing it safe, life gets boring, but I'll say you as potential wifey for now. So essentially we just close her as potential wifey for now. We're just like, we'll just accept it as it is. And by saying, damn, are you my mum? We're pretty much playing into her dominant side saying, so you want to be mommy, straight up. Now, I never thought in a million years I'll be saying this, but if my client wants something, they want something. So she says, yes, of course she's agreeing to being mommy. That's unfortunately just how the game goes. What a good idea that is. Wait, I did not read that correctly. Potential. Wow. So she's not happy with being potential wifey, which is just her asking for validation. Now, you should never give your validation to a girl because that means they will get everything they want off of you. Now we say, okay, mum, I apologize. Right? So essentially we're just playing into her kink. That's what we're doing. And she says happy, we say happy, and then that's it, okay? She says, you did indeed potential, okay? Might be able to change to wifey after our date. So now we're basically saying, if you want my validation, you must go on a date with me. That's it, okay? That's how you play it. And she says, good. So she's happy being called mum/mommy, okay? With girls like this, you gotta play into it like that. And then she says, and when will that be? So she wants the date. She wants it to be set. When a girl is like this, you gotta set that date in place. And I'll show you how you do that. And as we progress, we say, at first, I read that as good boy. So obviously, she wants to say good boy, but she doesn't want to get too comfortable, as you can see. That's why she says you're not quite there yet. And she says, depends what is your schedule looking like, baby. So obviously we're looking at her schedule now to open her. And as you can see, she said, you're not quite there yet. So she wants to call him good boy, but she can't. This proves to you that girls can be dominant, okay? And I never could believe this because I've never been dominated once in my life. This is crazy, okay? I can't even believe I'm analyzing this conversation, but a lot of people have been curious to find out how you get a dominant girlfriend. But here you go. This is how you do it. And she says here, I'm free next week. And she gives her time schedule slot. And then as you can see here, she says, crazy sentence, you sure you don't have a mommy kink? So now we're confirming the mommy kink. And then we say, does Tuesday or Thursday work for you? So now not only have we sexualized her, we've also set a date. It says, you can't talk about crazy sentences when the first thing you messaged me was about being a sex slave. And she says, I'm going to leave that question unanswered because she's not comfortable, obviously, declaring that. Now, I can tell you now, she is very comfortable being called a mommy because if I show you what the rest of this conversation says, yeah, there's some crazy messages. Editor, please be very careful and blur anything that's crazy, potentially this top message here, because there's some diabolical things. Moving on. So she says, yes, I can do Tuesday. So obviously we set the date in motion and place here. That means that everything is set in stone. So she said, double standards. So obviously now we're just teasing her a bit. And we said, bro pleaded the fifth. DW, we don't kink shame around here. As I said, I don't kink shame. I don't care what guys are into. I couldn't care less. If you guys want to obviously say your peace, go for it, say what you want. I'm not showing you the guy's identity because I have to obviously adhere to my policies of not revealing my clients' identities. That's why I'm the best in the world at this, and that's why I get the results I do. So if you want a dominant girl, submissive girl, whatever you want, I can pull it off. I'm the magician. Anyway, moving on. We said Unreal, Tuesday it is, and we've set the date in motion, and we also said to her that you can tell us later on, basically. And she says, how is that fair? So now in this scenario, obviously it's just teasing, it's a bit of banter, it's a bit of fun. And she says, I don't think I'm into anything crazy enough to be shamed. So I'll be honest with you, this goes into some crazy things, but yeah, like I said, don't shame people for their kinks. It's just not worth it. Not in this modern day and era. Anyways, we say to her, yay, I can't wait. That's what she says. She's quite happy about the date. And that means everything is just set in motion. She said, just how it is. So obviously now we're just pulling her leg. And then we say, I'm sure you're not so vanilla, just hiding from me. So what we're doing is we're trying to crack her open. We're trying to figure out what she's into, right? We want to see what she likes. We want to get more out of her. That is the idea. To get more out of people, you got to poke the bear. You got to really work your way in. Because if you don't, you're never going to get what you want. You got to push for what you want, guys. Okay? And then we say, going to be the best date of your life. This is pre-framing. Pre-framing is really important because what you're doing is you're making the date seem exciting. You're basically making her want to go on it as badly as possible. And he said, well, it won't be. Now, this is her dominant side coming out again where she's like, well, I'm not going to let that happen. And she says, that's for you to find out. So she's basically saying, yeah, I'm into some crazy stuff, right? But she doesn't want to reveal that. And then she says, have you been to the Alchemist before? Now, the funny thing is he has. And that's the benefits, right? Guys, like I said, if you take a girl to a location you know stupidly well, you will master it, man. You will do so goddamn well. Okay? You will do stupidly well. Because she will be amazed at how you can order all the drinks. You can order all the food. You know, all the staff members. Everyone knows you. I'm taken to a place that is my home territory, my home ground. Now, obviously, we said here, okay, mum. So obviously, just playing into the kink slowly. We're just calling her mum for now. We don't want to call her mommy because, of course, if you say mommy, it's too much. Work your way in, guys. And then she says, true. Even sure if you're vanilla just means there's more for you to explore. So now we're just basically warming up to her, saying to, even if you are vanilla, it's okay. Just because if she might be, right, you don't want to say that she's into anything crazy, so we just say there's more for you to explore. It's a great way to obviously dial things back. And then we say, yeah, been a few times, what about you? Now, she says to the mum, so obviously she's liking it, she wants more. And then she said, no, that's not what I meant, LOL. So basically, we misread what she said, but that's normal, that happens. And she says, no, haha, looking forward to it. So she's quite excited by it. As she said, it's a cute place earlier on in the message. Editor will show you the previous message with a box around it now. So that's what we're going on to. Now, she said, we say here, yeah, you like that. So now we're just really dialing in on her kink and we're going to go from there. And we say, sure, buddy, because now we're teasing her because we want to say that she was the problem. This is what it's called. It's called gaslighting. Gaslighting is really powerful when it's used correctly. And we say to her, yeah, you'll love it, baby. We want to gauge her interest. We want to really reel her in. Like, we're going to put the hook, line, and sinker. Now, as you can see here, this is when things get crazy. She says, I just like a submissive man. What can I say? Crazy statement, okay? I'll be honest with you, if a girl said that to me, I think I would be, I'd probably block her, I'll be honest with you. I can't do that to myself, I have too much pride. But if someone else is into that, that's fair enough. It's just like I said, people have different tastes. This is just not me. I just can't do that. But when it comes to my clients, I will get the best results in the world and I'll do what it takes. If I have to send messages like this, then so be it. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters on this planet is results. And if you don't have good results on Tinder, then you need to work with me because I will get you the results. And you should check out my testimonials on my website. Because I'm telling you now, no one can do what I can do. We have one of the best testimonials, the best strategies in the world. And we even have a free texting resource at the bottom of the website if you're interested. No email, no bollocks or anything like that. You can look at it straight for free. Moving on. Now, as you can see here, she goes, haha, you don't even know. So now she's basically saying, you have no idea what I'm into. So now the girl's really opening up. And she says, yippee, I've not been out for cocktails in so long. This is even better. She hasn't drank in a while. So when she does drink this time, she's going to enjoy it even more. Because when you drink infrequently, the effects of alcohol are much stronger. Now, in this scenario, we just straight up say to her, so you want to dominate me then? And then we say to her, not yet. So obviously we're basically saying, I have no idea what you're into, but I'm excited. And then she says, you're a perfect excuse then. And then we also ask for her Instagram. So we can obviously get a better idea of what she's into. As you can see here, she says, if you're good, maybe. So now she really is playing into the dominant side of her, and that is her Instagram. Anyways, moving on. We say to her, she says here, crazy dynamic, we'll see. And then obviously the client wants to see how things go, right? And then obviously this is my client's Instagram, and that's straightforward as that. And then she says, why is that? And then she follows him back. Getting a girl's Instagram is great if you have a high status Instagram because it shows attraction, it shows power, it shows status, right? It gives you points on the board. Now, in this scenario, this client also says, well, usually girls are submissive and want to be dominated. So he's basically indicating you're unique, which is completely true. She is unique. Not many girls are dominant. She is unique for being dominant. And obviously, if a guy is into that, it's a hard thing to find. But if you're working with me, I can find that for you very easy. Now, over here, you can see as we progress, she says, well, there you go. Now you can stalk me. So basically, we're giving her stalker permissions because that's what girls do. They stalk. And she says, not around here. So basically, she's saying, don't worry, I'm going to dominate you. It's that simple. And then now we move on to the stage where we basically prove that he's getting stalked. And she says, I did actually. Girls are going to stalk you. It's just how the game goes, guys. If she's going to sleep with you, she wants to make sure you're the safest option possible. She wants to make sure you have no criminal record. It's just how things go. Plus, she wants to see if you have a high status lifestyle, right? That's just only natural. Now she says, Sexy Fish, look nice. Did you have a good time? So she obviously looked at his stories. He went to a restaurant called Sexy Fish and she thought it was quite nice. And as you can see, that's the power of status. That is the influence of the game. Now, over here, we said, how surprising to the stalking factor. Yeah, it was good. Pretty casual, to be honest, but was a good experience. So basically, we're just downplaying the experience that he had at Sexy Fish. We don't want her to think that we're excited little kids, right? We don't want them to think that we're just, hyper about everything we do. Now, moving forward, we said it was so funny. All the girls at the table next to us ran to the toilet every 5 minutes to take pictures. So we're basically now poking fun at girls because she probably does the same thing because that's what girls do. And then over here, she says, I'm just nosy. So obviously now she's just admitting she's a stalker, which is normal. Girls are just like that. And she says, oh, really? I've never been. I thought it was quite fancy. Power of status once again. Now he thinks this guy's a high status man, but this is just the tricks we put in place because he is not a high status man. He's just an ordinary man. And that is what I thrive and excel in, helping the ordinary man achieve dates. Now over here, the bathrooms must be super cute. I don't even blame them. So as you can see, she admits that she would have done the same thing. And now she says, curiosity killed the cat. So we're just saying an old saying, nothing special. And she says, probably the nicest place I've been in Manchester. And then he sends a picture of himself here. And then we say, you're not wrong. And this is the bathroom of Sexy Fish, obviously. And she says, guess I'm dead then. Rip. So I'm just more teasing and jokes. And she says, oh, no way. Where else have you been? And then she says, never am. So, he's basically playing into the dominant factor again. And we say, well, you have 8 more lives. Sure. And we say, just look at the IG highlights, baby. Basically, what we're saying is, go look at my Instagram again. I'm a high status man. You're gonna love my stories. It's that straightforward. And she says, you say to her, okay, Mrs. Confidence. And now we're pulling on her leg once again. And when she says meow, which is a part of her kink, which is a bit strange, I'll be honest with you. Like these things are just not normal to me. I don't know. The younger generation are into some questionable things these days, but this is what happens in my old age. I guess I'm becoming an old fossil, aren't I? Moving on. We said, I did thank you. So obviously now she's saying that she's been through them. Completely no one says, that's me. And now meowing for me, do you bark too? Is crazy. I'll be honest with you. Asking a girl to bark for you is pretty wild. Like I said, younger generation, this is what they're into. What we say here is, what did you think? So now we want to obviously dive into her head more because you want to build up interest. The more she thinks about you, the better it will be. And we say, why do you ask? Are you a furry? It's okay, I won't judge. Now my client is not a furry, I can confirm that. He may be a switch, but he's not a furry. And essentially, we're just teasing on her and we're playing around with a bit of her kink, and she's doing the vice versa. It works really well. And she says, you should post more. See, guys, posting on Instagram is powerful. It gets you status. And as a matter of fact, I'm launching the Instagram service as a part of my service for my Tinder strategy. We run all apps, including Instagram now, and we can make sure we create a high status Instagram profile for you. So if you're interested in that, book a call down below for free, and we'll explore how we can scale your Instagram account to thousands of followers and get you woman very easily. And then we say to her, do I look like one? And we say, yeah, maybe post you even if all goes well. So now we're just giving the factor of, if she's a good girl, she'll be validated. Now in this scenario, he needs to be a good boy because obviously she doesn't want to be a good girl. Moving forward, she says, avoiding the question, I see. So now she's basically saying, oh, so you are into it, you just don't want to admit it. It's just teasing. And then over here we say, wow, how romantic. That's what she says. Normal, just like I said, basic conversation. Now my client confirms, no, I'm not furry. What made you think that? I'm curious. And then we follow up with, of course, our date will be super romantic and every other thing we do. And she said, I don't know, I feel like saying something to annoy you. As I said, guys, it's just banter. It's just, she's just teasing you. Girls are just like this, right? They're like children. You know how children pester you? Like I said in my previous videos in the past, girls are like children. They just want to pester you. They just want to annoy you. It's just how it goes. And then she says here, okay, good. You set the bar now, can't go back. So she's basically saying, I expect many things from you. And then She says, my client says, you can't rage bait me, babes, but you can try. So basically my client is saying, you can try all you want to annoy me, but it won't work. And this is basically put the girl on full teasing mode, which increases her interest more. Because the more the girl teases you, the higher her interest. And what over here we say, I'll make sure to meet your expectations. So we're just being a man of our word and we're affirming to what we've said. And then she says, I'm going to take that as a challenge, just you wait. I love doing it. And then she says, you better. So basically now we have big words to live up to. And as a man, you should live up to your word. You shouldn't say things that you don't mean, right guys? Even if you're a switch, you need to have high testosterone. You need to be the kind of man that is able to say things and mean them. Moving forward. So we say, oh, I can wait, but just so you know, I might rage bait you first. So now we're going back to the teasing and we say early bird gets the early worm. Why are you up at 6? Because this message was sent at 6 a.m. And she says, I have a billion siblings. I really doubt that my patience is very strong, so good luck. So now she's basically opening up to her family, which shows she is giving up more trust and she is building more interest. The more someone tells you about themselves, the more indebted they feel to you. Basic psychology. She said, oh my god, I knew you were going to ask you that, and I was going to say early bird gets early worm. So obviously now they're thinking on the same page, which means you can say something like great minds think alike. And it says, get out of my head. No, I just wake up a lot in my sleep. It's really annoying. And we say, well, you're in luck then. So now we're basically just teasing it, and we said, no way, I think we're connected. I haven't even been inside you yet, baby. Now this is an alternative. Sometimes I like to say great minds think alike, or I like to say I haven't been inside you yet, and I'm already inside your head. So yeah, it's that simple. And you say, and you woke up just to text little old me. So now we're just teasing and saying, oh, so you care for me then. Girls love it when you do that because like they don't want to admit it, right? But they do care about you. And then she says, yeah, unlike you. So basically saying you're not lucky. And then over here she says, well, you're going to have to earn that, aren't you? So this is her dominant side coming out. And she says, no, I was already awake, silly. Now, of course, that's only natural. Sure, you love really. And as you go through the conversation, it just goes through more basic conversation. It's very simple and straightforward. You just have normal conversations, right? There's not too much to analyze here, as you can see. So I'll just read the message out to you. Yeah, don't worry, I don't have sex on the first date. I want an emotional connection first. Guys, you need to say this, okay? If you don't say this, this girl will have serious issues where she's going to be putting her guards up for the day. If you tell a girl you're not going to have sex on the first date, you're basically telling her, you don't need to worry about me because I'm not that type of man. When you may be or you may not be, right? So it's very powerful, it's very important. And we said, oh, I love autocorrect. I meant to say, sure, you love me, really. So yeah, this was just an autocorrect mistake from my team, but that just happens, right? Spelling error, but that's not a problem. Anyway, moving forward. She says, good, I'm the exact same anyway. I'd rather get to know someone than immediately rush into things. As you can see, we have affirmed it. And that is what leads to you being able to have sex with her on the first date. Because just because you said it, now she's going to let it happen even more likely. You're lowering her guard. And then she sends a little bit of an emoji here, which is just her teasing aspect. And she says, maybe, maybe not. That's good. Then it seems we're compatible. Jesse, we need to cook. Jesse, right? This is just a Breaking Bad reference because her name is Jesse. We'll see if she gets that. And we say, don't deny it. And there we go. She says, you know, well, no, until you meet me, silly. It's different over text. And she says, I've heard that one a million times. So she doesn't like, obviously, the Breaking Bad reference. She's heard it too much. And she says, or what? And she says, I know, we'll see how it goes in person. Well, now you heard it 1,000,001 times, right? So we're basically just continuing to play on to that. And she says, won't have to punish you. And she says, yes, obviously, and 1,000,001 time too much. And she says, like to see you try. So like I said, with a girl like this, you can't dominate them. They're just straight up dominant themselves. It just doesn't work. And she says, all right, no need for attitude. Don't think I'll harm you with your insane brain rot. Girls love to brain rot, right, guys? And we say to her, I do like a challenge. And she says, just can't help myself. Okay, rude, just because I like scrolling on Reels. As I said, they love scrolling on Reels. And then over here she says, one that you'll lose for sure. Well, as long as you can deal with my sarcasm and slight bullying, we'll be fine. Cooked, so doomed. We will see, right? So we're just keeping the basic conversation. And so I think we're just going to bully each other, which is exactly what girls like. Girls like, you know, for you two to bully each other. It's just a part of a relationship dynamic. And then she says, what else am I supposed to do in my spare time? So this is something that you need to understand about girls. Girls are very lazy and they're very, how do I word this? They live life carefree. They don't have goals. They can sit in their bed and brain rot for 8 hours, right? They can just straight up scroll on Instagram for several hours on end. I can't fathom that. I didn't even know what brain rot was last week until one of my clients told me that this girl likes to brain rot. Anyway, she says, and then she says, well, as long as it's 50-50 flirting, bullying mix. And she says, I do something useful, LMAO. So yeah, that's another term, LMAO. That was actually from my generation in time. Don't worry, guys. I'm not that old. I know what that means. I promise. Anyways, she says, you'll find out. I'm going to be productive today, I think. So now she's saying, I think I'm going to be productive. She doesn't know what productivity means. I'll be honest with you guys. Okay. And she says, we will indeed. You think? What have you got planned, sweetheart? And she says, haha, well, I just made some lunch. I'm going to catch up on my uni work and do some cleaning maybe. What do you have planned? I see living in accommodation, then Mrs. Super Productive. And she says, certainly not. I live in a house with my friends. So she's bit spoiled. She has a house, that's only natural. And she says going to do some shopping, and we'll go to this spa place and might get dinner after. And then, of course, said sounded like quite the elitist here, so we're just teasing her. And she says, oh, spa sounds lovely. You get a massage. And she meant, I didn't mean it like that. I lived in student accommodation for 2 years, and it was bad, right? It was hell. And she says, the stories I could tell you. Anyway, that's why you should get a house, right? Guys, if you go to uni, when I was younger and I went to uni many years ago, I can tell you now, it was a terrible place to be. You don't want to go to uni, guys. It is not fun. I regret it. It's one of the regrets of my life. However, it did make me the man I am with the countless experience I have with women. Being able to sleep with countless women came through uni, thankfully. Now, over here, we say maybe happy ending too. I can imagine I've heard some wild shit, but I'd love to hear your story. So saying the happy ending here is basically teasing her. So we're saying that you're gonna have sex with another girl, and that's why she says, you dirty dog. Oh no way, what have you heard? My god, I don't even know where to start. There was so much drama. This one girl who was a massive crackhead did some insane stuff. We had investigations, just general how I'll tell you about it. Tell me about it, guys. When I went to uni, I could tell you some crazy uni stories. I mean, you've seen my uni videos in the past. They are wild, and I can tell you now, uni has probably gotten a little bit better from when I went to uni a long time ago. And I'm talking back then, many years ago, uni was a crazy place, okay? I can imagine now it's a little bit better, hopefully. I don't know, let me know in the comments below, because I haven't been to uni for a long time, so I wonder what it's like now. Not that I ever want to go back, because that is honestly the stupidest thing you could do. Move forward. Best part only, joking. That's devious as pretty average uni shit, though. And we say to her, yeah, tell me about it on Wednesday. So we're obviously just building up to the date. We're just holding conversation. And we just say to her, don't believe that for a second. I'll just wait. It gets so much worse. You mean Tuesday? Why am I not trustworthy? And she says, yeah, Tuesday, true. Must be getting Alzheimer's. So we basically wanted to check with her, right? So the reason why we told her the wrong date is because we want to check if she remembers. By telling the girl the wrong date and she corrects you, it shows she's interested. It's a great tactic to see if a girl's actually serious on showing up on the date. Now she says, I'm just messing. I think you are. Yeah, I live here, but I'm not far from here. South girly. So she's a South girly. I'll let you listen to one of her crazy voice notes. She says, I know. Yeah, I think you need to look after me. Cool, you here for uni then? That's a reference from this guy on TikTok. I forgot his name. I don't know. And she says, also spas on real. And she says, might have to. Oh, I just hate stupid stuff like this. I actually double booked myself tomorrow. Can we do Wednesday if that's okay? And she wants to actually swap the days around, so that's even better because it shows she's invested. She doesn't want to skip on it. So moving forward, we say to her, can't do Wednesday. I have other plans, but I can do Thursday. Is that not Riz Alameo? So obviously we're just messing with her. It's pretty straightforward. So yeah. And she says, was pretty sick all on my Instagram. Anyway, I think Thursday should work for me actually. I thought it was just a silly joke, and she says, I did, yes. So I'm just going to skip through some of the conversation here because it's pretty boring. I'll be honest with you, there's nothing crazy. So we book her in for Thursday. As you can see, it just continues to progress from here. And then she says something along these lines here. You can just read through this yourself. And then as you can see, we just work our way forward to the date. And then we say to her, I'm sure we booked double dates. So now we're basically calling her out. And she says, no, not dates. I thought I'd see my friend on Thursday, right? So I'm not going to read the rest of this because it's just boring. As we progress, as you can see here, it just keeps going and going further and further, right? As you can see, it's just boring conversation. There is nothing more to it. It's that simple. However, I will show you some pictures she has sent actually. So yeah, we're just going to keep going forward with the conversation. There's honestly nothing more for me to say. It's just straightforward conversation of just setting the date. And then she says something diabolical here saying, I will do your makeup. Guys, that is a crazy statement. If a girl said that to me, I'll be honest with you, I don't know what I would be honest. I can't say what I'll do to her on YouTube because I don't want to get in trouble. But I will be honest with you, if a girl said that to me, I would lose it. Anyways. It says, is there a dress code like that? What's the vibe? So basically, she's asking for the vibe of the alchemist, and she's asking for a dress code. We tell her the dress code, tell her to wear something nice. That's simple, okay? And then she says, that's a double standard. Good thing I have a ridiculous amount of clothes. Typical stuff for a girl, nothing nothing new. She says, I'm so heartbroken right now in my lecture, and it's so terribly boring, blah, blah, blah. More boring conversation. I'm not reading this because, again, it's boring. Anyway, so we just talk about more cocktails, more conversation, just straightforward. She sends some pictures. This is lunch. She's a good at cook. You can show this editor, that's fine. As you can see here, no, neither my little brothers and blah blah blah, just more stuff about her life. It's really just that simple. And there's some stuff about Skibbity. One of my clients told me this is a TikTok thing. God, well, I don't know what you kids are coming up with these days. Anyway, as you can see, just more conversation. She says I'm chronically online. As you can see, we sent her more pictures of shopping, and we say some stuff about just the daily activities. And we also talk about her being a misandrist, because if you watch my last video, we dislike misandrists. and we want to put a test on her to make sure she's not a misandrist. Anyway, she says passed with flying colors because she is not a misandrist. It's that simple. Anyway, as you can see, we keep processing forward, keep going from there. We just set the date and we work our way in. Over the days, we just talk in a boring conversation. This is how dating goes. That's why you should get outsourced to me, so I can do your boring conversations for you guys. It's that simple. Anyway, never used it myself, blah 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 blah. There we go, straightforward as that. And then we talk about the Uber, and then boom, there you go. And then they met, and as you can see, this is them meeting. So yeah, as you can see, so they met. The editor should have that on screen now, and it's that straightforward and simple. So for the rest of the video, I'm going to be just showing you some cool things. So guys, I want you to listen to this voice notes. So take a listen to Mummy.
You've been so good to Mummy, and I think when you come over, I'm gonna have to reward you and spoil you and give you lots of treats because you're so good to Mummy, aren't you?
I will be honest with you, I felt very uncomfortable listening to that, but that's just because it's not my thing. If you're into that, no shame. There is nothing wrong with being a submissive man. If that is something you're into, that's fine. However, you should be dominant in other areas of real life and not let people walk all over you. Now, I'm not going to get into life lessons, but if this is what you're into, this is what you're into. I'm not one to exclude anyone from working with me. Now, for me personally speaking, I don't enjoy doing this, I'll be honest with you. But it doesn't mean that I wouldn't do this. If this is a part of the job, I'll get these results for you. You have my word on that. Now, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. This video has been a special one. I will be showing you some more crazy conversations as we go along with the process. Also, just to let you know, the presentation style is coming back. So, to just finally top the video off, I will be showing you some pictures of the girl and what she sent in the chat as her one-time view-only messages. The messages that she sent in her one-time view-only messages are these pictures right here. As you can see, this is what consisted of her messages, right? I'm going to put a picture of the client with the girl on screen, and you guys can see for yourself that the meet was complete, and of course he was able to get with the girl he wanted, a dominant woman. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Some jokes are there, but apart from that, peace.